Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to You, Me, and BTC episode number 239. This is going to be a fun one. The first thing I want to quickly get out of the way is that Hangouts is rejecting my microphone, so you're hearing me through my computer and you get what you get. But that's that. I am Daniel Brown, and we have a super exciting special guest with us today. This is Jeff Klee, the founder, I believe, and CEO of CheapAir.com. Jeff, how's it going today?
Good. Thanks for that intro.
Yeah, I'm excited you're here. So I will give some quick backstory for why I even reached out to you. And that obviously has to do with CheapAir. I got your email saying that Coinbase was sort of cutting you off. I'll let you share more details about that. But you said that Coinbase was kind of shutting you off and you were considering BitPay, but they force people to use the payment protocol, which also is often called BIP70. And you were looking for feedback about how people felt about being forced to use BIP70. It only works with some wallets, not all of them. And I let you know my thoughts because I had recently used BitPay and I realized that they force you to use payment protocol. And then I started to do some research about why some people don't like it and why not all the wallets have implemented it. But that's my summary. But I will turn it over to you here to share some more details about what exactly Coinbase said and where you're headed from here. So could you share?
Sure. And just to be clear, I think it's been reported in some places incorrectly. So what Coinbase did wasn't specific to us. They're just getting out of the merchant business altogether, at least on their current platform. And what we've been using, they built a merchant platform basically on top of their regular Coinbase.com consumer product. And it's been a little bit of a mystery why they're getting out of it. They haven't been very forthcoming in that regard. They've just said that it's basically from a technical standpoint, putting a square peg in a round hole, and it doesn't fit well with the platform. So they've created a new product, Coinbase Commerce, which is a very different product. I mean, not without merit, but what that does is it will facilitate a merchant who wants to accept cryptocurrency, but it will not convert to fiat. And that's our big issue. Unfortunately, United Airlines isn't as high on Bitcoin as we are. So we have to pay them in dollars. And when we sell a ticket, for the most part, most of it's going right to the airline. So we're always exchanging it right away for fiat. So Coinbase has come out with this non-custodial solution where they don't take your Bitcoin. They just facilitate the transfer, but you basically keep it yourself as opposed to having it on the Coinbase exchange. So I mean, it's not that I don't see value in that, but it's not something that would work for us for our business, at least right now.
Got it. Yeah, that is definitely good to know. I am equally, I guess, a little confused about why they would make that change. That seems like one of their primary products. I mean, tons of people use Coinbase to accept payments, and a lot of people do have to convert right away.
The theory is that from a lot of people that have been, emailing me about it, they're scared of forthcoming regulations. I'm not sure exactly what regulations, but it's possible.
Got it. So then the next question is where do you go from here? So I in your email, I think you said you're considering BitPay. It's an option, but you also are looking at other options and you're accepting some different cryptos. So where are you headed from here?
Yeah. So, I mean, BitPay was kind of, as soon as this happened, the first thing we did was we got in touch with BitPay. They're kind of the obvious solution in that they're the leader in this space as far as merchant solutions. And everything seemed fine with them until we started hearing about this BIP70, the payment protocol thing, which, to be perfectly honest, I had no idea what that was at the time. But as I started digging into it and started reading on some of the forums, I realized there were a lot of people who really didn't like this payment protocol. And now I raised that issue with BitPay, and they kind of said, oh, don't worry, it's much better, it's much more reliable, and it hasn't affected our business. Has been down a tick, but it's barely made a difference since we've forced that requirement. Now, and just to be fair, I mean, we've been accepting Bitcoin for a long time. I know the problems that they're trying to solve with this. I mean, it's especially in December and January when the network speeds were terrible, the fees were terrible. I mean, it was a nightmare, and it was a customer service nightmare. So so I appreciate what they're trying to do, but on the other hand, there are a lot of people who don't have BIP70 wallets, and I think their goal is to get as many wallets as they can to support it. But my sense is that a lot of wallets have no intention of supporting it. So and from our standpoint, we don't want to alienate customers. We're not trying to pick sides in this battle over what the standard should be. So I don't know exactly where we are going to end up. I do know that one way or another, we will definitely have a solution that does not require BIP70 for our customers. And we've got a few options for that. I mean, I think that, BitPay will likely be part of the solution, but we have to make sure that we can also provide something for those who don't have one of those wallets.
That's a good way to go. I mean, I'm glad you're not just forcing anyone to use it, because whether you like it or not, if some people don't have it, if a lot of people don't have it, I'm glad you're leaving open other options. My experience with BitPay was I used the Airbits wallet, which does support the payment protocol, but I used to love Airbits. We had the founder Paul Pui on the show a couple times. I still appreciate what they're trying to do. I hope that they're working on the Edge wallet now, which is like a next iteration. But Airbits has fallen short for me in a few ways. And in fact, I learned just within the past week or two that my balance is off by a factor of 100. So that kind of sucked. But
that's kind of big.
Yeah, it was a big. Apparently, it just didn't detect certain transactions that I had made. And so anyway, so I love them. I hope they can sort things out. I hope the Edge wallet comes in huge and works amazingly. But for me, for now, I'm not a huge fan of Airbits, and so that was my only payment protocol option that I currently have set up. So that's what I've had to use, and I'm glad you'll leave open other options. I'm grateful for that. Well, yeah, so I'll look forward to seeing where all this goes. I definitely want to know, what kind of options you choose, whether it's a payment processor or whether you integrate anything yourselves. I'm looking forward to that. I guess we'll work backwards a little bit here. I wanted to make sure we covered that because I know we've only got a few more minutes with you. I definitely wanted to start with that kind of news. But I'm also curious, backing up a few years, what is it about Bitcoin anyway that, like, why do you even accept Bitcoin? Why? What got you into it, and where you are now?
Yeah. So it's really one of these things that came about pretty randomly. We started accepting it in 2013, and at the time, I had read about Bitcoin. I was always intrigued by it, but I didn't know too much about it. But I kind of like to read about it. I have a lot of libertarian leanings, so I kind of was naturally attracted to it. But I never associated in any way with my business. And then we got back in 2013, it was a customer service inquiry. Someone asked one of our travel advisors, "Can I pay for my ticket in Bitcoin?" And she didn't know what Bitcoin was, and she mentioned it to me, and that's where the idea came from.
Right.
And I was like, well, God, maybe we could accept Bitcoin. And so we did a little bit of research into what would that entail, and we hooked up with Coinbase at the time, and they were great as far as, the integration was incredibly easy.
Right.
It was not at all difficult to start. And honestly, when we started, I thought, this is a little bit gimmicky, but maybe someone will write about it, and maybe we'll get a sale here or there. But really, from day one, we started getting a lot of interest, and it grew and grew, and it kind of plateaued for a little bit in, I say, 2014, 2015, with the price of Bitcoin. But still, even then, we had a small but very loyal group of customers who like to pay with Bitcoin, and we appreciate that. In our industry, it's really tough to get customer loyalty. I mean, there's so many people out there who they might love what you do for them on one trip, but the next time they're going to shop 10 sites and go with who's ever, if someone beats you by a dollar, they're going to go there. So the Bitcoin world has been great. They've been very loyal, very supportive. And in the process, I met a lot of people who are in the Bitcoin community and started to learn more about it. And I kind of became more and more fascinated by it. Then last year, when all of a sudden the price of Bitcoin started running up like we all know it did, I mean, that's been great. Oh, yeah. It's been great for business. And then suddenly what was a tiny part of our business has become, not so insignificant. I mean, it's definitely still a minority of the business, but it's what I have to say, we're the Bitcoin customer, we're getting, people are buying, $50,000 ticket orders on first class trips around the world, where the typical CheapAir.com customers, buying a flight from LA to Vegas for $120. So it's a nice customer profile for us. But also I really appreciate what they're doing. I love the passion in the Bitcoin community. I mean, in many respects, it's like watching politics, and that there's some pretty hardened positions on both sides, but people are coming at it. People's hearts are in the right place for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We've had our share of drama in the Bitcoin space with the fork and with every change that anyone ever wants to make, different companies. And once my co-hosts show up, that's probably how we'll spend the second half of the show, is covering that kind of drama. What do we think about BIP70? What do we think about big payment processors and stuff like that? But I want to say that, I have used CheapAir and I love it because you accept Bitcoin. I've been learning, even though I've been in the skate space for 5 years now, I've been learning more and more every day how there is no, what's the phrase? The cost is never too much to get a little bit of extra freedom, a little bit of extra privacy, and whatever. So I have been using CheapAir, even if it is $10 more. If I get to use my Bitcoin, that is a big plus for me. So I'll take it. Next thing is step back even further. Like I said, I guess we'll work backwards here a little bit. I want to know from the very beginning, because once I decided to get in touch with you, I did a little bit more research, and my understanding is that you're pushing 30 years with CheapAir, which blows me away. I think that's incredible. I think that's exciting. My understanding is that you started it in a dorm room, and I just want to know the story. What's it been like? Why did you start it? How's the journey been?
Yeah, all true. I'm dating myself, but I started I was in college, University of Michigan in 1989, and it started as, I was just kind of selling spring breaks, to college friends, spring break trips to college friends. It was not supposed to be something that I would be doing 30 years later. And then when I graduated college, I was actually going to go to law school. I was enrolled and everything, and I don't know why I was going to do that, but at the last second, I kind of thought, why am I going to law school? I don't want to be a lawyer. So I canceled my enrollment, and I figured I'd play around with this travel business while I figure out what I really want to do with my life. And I've always, I still do software development. I still write code.
Nice.
So in the beginning, this was pre-internet. I mean, we were, again, I'm really dating myself. We were sending out people. I remember we would advertise, like, order a ticket without leaving your house. Like, that was such a great thing. People would order a plane ticket, and we would FedEx them the physical ticket, and we thought we were so innovative because we were doing that. So I started playing around with developing like databases for discount airline tickets, and then the internet came, which was kind of combining two things that I really like, the software development with the travel piece. And so that from that point on, I was hooked and became a permanent thing. And yeah, our business has changed quite a bit as the industry has, but we've managed to to stay around for quite a while.
Hey, I could ask a million more questions. That's inspiring to me, because I like to think I'm in a similar place where I'm just here, just running this website, and we'll see how long it goes, and we'll see what could happen, and who knows where I'll be in 30 years, whether it's with this website or whatever. I'm also a developer, and I guess all I got to say is I think it's cool that you've worked so hard for so long and made it what it is. But I'll refrain from some of my own questions because we got just a few more minutes, and I do want to get to a question from the chat. Anthony Yakabuchi is curious if you will ever consider accepting Lightning payments.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very, and I've gotten several questions about that lately. And I'll be honest, I don't know very much about it at all, except for kind of, very superficial things I've read. I mean, it sounds great. And people are constantly asking, will you accept this new coin or that new coin? I mean, we basically want to accept anything that customers want to pay with is the bottom line. Although there has to be some sort of a critical mass to be worth the development effort, especially if it's something that we'd have to go a different route for. So now we did start accepting Litecoin and Dash and Bitcoin Cash. All three of those we wanted to do for a while, but we were with Coinbase, and although they have those in their consumer wallet, they don't have them in their merchant platform. So we've started that with GoCoin, and it's gone really well. And we are open to expanding to more, but our problem is the crypto projects development. As much as I love them, they get mixed in with all the other priorities, and we always have a million development projects. And it's even a lot of people reach out to me about something I never heard of, BTC Pay Server. It's kind of an open source server to basically be your own processor. And it was really intriguing to me, and I was reading about it, and I was thinking, hey, we should do this. This is cool. We could do this ourselves, but then reason prevailed, and like this. We don't have time to start being our own processor. We've got 1,000 other things that are on our plate that customers are asking for. So, although I'm still not ruling it out for some point down the road.
Yeah, I feel you. Like I said, I'm a developer myself, and ever since I started, I've always told people that the wish list is just constantly endless. Yeah, every time someone asks, "Hey, can you do that?" the answer is always yes. But there's a huge list. So
exactly, yeah.
Hey, so I'll get to our final question here and let you go. We asked this to all of our guests. I am looking for some just exciting, sad, angry, whatever, anything goes here, some kind of personal story in the crypto space. We like to just share experiences and, great things, bad things, whatever. We just think it's a fun question to ask. So, do you have anything interesting you could share? Someone you met, some place you've been, anything at all that you could leave us with?
Well, I think, and this will be pretty quick, but it's a story that I've told a lot of friends, and they're fascinated by it. Early on, we were accepting Bitcoin, and I don't want to scare off any customers, but probably your audience won't be scared by this. Someone accidentally sent us $144,000 worth of Bitcoin for a ticket that was a lot less than $144,000. So we got one of our customer service reps got an absolutely panicked phone call about how do I get my money back, and we were worried that Coinbase was going to pay it out and transfer to dollars, and then because the exchange rate was always changing, and the person could lose a lot of money. So anyway, we called Coinbase, and they worked really well to sort it out, get the person back the full amount. But that was it was a wake-up call to the fact that for better or for worse, a Bitcoin transfer is final, and if you match your money like that, you better make sure that the person you're sending it to is gonna do the right thing.
Yeah, plenty of stories out there about people sending coins to the wrong address or whatever, and it's just gone. And then it's 3 years later, and the price is 100x, and that
Right.
can be pretty tough.
Oh yeah, no, I hear those stories all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, Jeff, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for sharing all this. I know you got to run, so I'll let you go and start chatting up with Tim here. But yeah, thanks again. Like I said, I love CheapAir, so everyone out there, they're not a sponsor, but you should check them out, cheapair.com. Thanks
Thank
again.
you. Really good to talk to you.
All right,
Thank you.
have a great night.
Didn't contribute anything, but thank you.
So I will drop a quick reminder here to the audience that just my audio, for whatever reason, Hangouts rejects this microphone now. They did some big updates or whatever. So I apologize for my computer audio, but it is what it is. Tim, how's it going? Why are you late? Tell me everything.
Well, I didn't get up and go to the gym this morning, and then I worked till about 7:30, and then decided, fuck Daniel. No, that's pretty much. I can't really lie about it too much. I wasted your time, and I apologize. I don't know what else to do here besides grovel right now.
How did you waste my time?
I don't know, because I didn't really waste your time. I'm just trying to make you like me again, Daniel.
Got it.
No, I ran out of time during the day. Unlike Daniel, I actually work an actual job, and it requires me to have some time afterwards to recover and to do something to get my stress out. Unlike Daniel, who just comes on and people just throw him money for doing nothing. I've been to his workplace. I see what he does. He does nothing. No, but yeah, I was late because I did not correctly organize my day, which is, I think I've taken a couple different times of doing our advice of the week on doing something like that and being conscious of your time. And as I've said before, I do that because a lot of the time I don't do it myself, and I'm trying to remind myself today was not one of those days, and I failed, and I failed all of you. And if you guys want to make me feel better, please donate money to the show. And it always comes back to that.
There you have it, guys. Well, yeah, that's Tim's life story right there.
What? Just disorganized and just useless. I don't know what happened.
Guys, this is the place to be tonight. I didn't share this at the beginning because I wanted to get right into it. But if you want to chat with us, watch the video, or whatever else, this is you, me, and btc.com/live. Read some show notes. I got a ton of links, because this story is just, it's a much bigger thing than I ever realized. It kind of started in January when BitPay and BIP made this BIP 70 requirement, but it's a big story. So we're going to talk about it. But yeah, lots of links. We have CheapAir's Jeff's letter to the customers. So check that out. I mentioned that a couple times when I was chatting with them. We got a general story about Coinbase leaving CheapAir hanging. We got BitPay's take. BitPay is the one that's forcing people to use BIP 70. So we have their take on why they've forced people to use that. We also have, kind of on the other side, from Bitcoin Magazine, the wallet side and why they are not so excited about BIP 70. There are a lot of comments in that one from Paul Pui, like I said, the creator of Airbits. I reached out to him on Twitter. We'll see if we can get him on to share more thoughts about what is BIP 70, what's it mean to a wallet provider, why do people have concerns about it. But there are some great comments in that story. Samurai Wallet. So when I first read this story, or started researching this stuff about CheapAir and BIP 70 and whatnot, in my head, that one of the first things I thought was, well, if I can't use Airbits, I think Samurai has to have BIP 70, because I've always heard that Samurai is the most featureful Bitcoin wallet that they're kind of it. Not really the most. That would probably be Electrum. But still, I've always heard great things about Samurai. So I thought they got to have BIP 70. So if I have to start using a new wallet so that I can use BitPay, maybe it'll be Samurai. I came to learn through this blog post from Samurai that they are not actually a fan of BIP 70 and they refuse to implement it, and they explain why. So that link is in there if you want to check it out. And then also just a fun Reddit thread. A lot of people are arguing, obviously, about what's good or bad about BIP 70. All of those links are at meandbtc.com/live. Also at the bottom, we got our poll. Let us know how you feel about BIP 70 and BitPay forcing it. So, Tim, have you run into this at all lately? Have you used BitPay at all in the past few months?
I don't know. I don't remember doing it. I honestly don't know that I've ever used BitPay.
So you might have used Amagi Metals if you ever bought from there. I think they used BitPay at least for a while.
Okay.
I
yeah, I
ran
might
into
have.
them.
I might have used it. I can't. I think I ordered some like maybe ordering like some kratom a couple months ago or something like that. I got something like that. But yeah, I don't use it a ton. I think I've mentioned on here before. A lot of this stuff kind of just flies by me anyway. Partly because I let it because I would just worry about it too much. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't have the best grasp on my life right now. This is a cry for help right now, folks. I'm not. I'm only halfway joking, but I all this stuff too. Like I'm not. I like it. I like the whole like. Okay, you do this nice little thing pops up on your screen. You can send the money real easy. I don't care that much. Like if I'm taking the time to spend the Bitcoin, the extra 5 minutes of doing something a little bit more manual isn't going to bother me that much. I mean, which it probably should, because like what his name was Jeff, right, was just talking about, where someone just sent them fuck ton more money. That hasn't happened to me yet. I think I did it to Daniel one time, but me fucking up to somebody I couldn't get it back from hasn't happened like that. I've lost money in other ways, but that has not happened like that. So I don't really know too much about BitPay.
Yeah. Actually, we didn't even make this connection while we were chatting with Jeff, but his personal story is actually a good example of something that the payment protocol BIP 70 actually attempts to solve. That I don't have all the tech specs right in front of me, but essentially it's a way for the merchant and the consumer, their wallets, and it will communicate and make sure that you get the correct Bitcoin address with the correct amount, and make sure you let them know when you sent the payment, so you don't necessarily have to wait for a confirmation. There are some features in there to, if a payment isn't going through, like over the holidays when prices were 30-40 bucks for a Bitcoin transaction, there are some features built into the payment protocol that might allow you to make those go through faster, add fees and different things like that. So yeah, we didn't even make that connection, but the payment protocol theoretically is supposed to solve that kind of problem where you send money to the wrong address or the wrong amount and stuff like that. So that's that. Like I said, I did run into this a few times over the past 2-3 weeks. And at first, I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll just use Airbits. And then I realized, Tim, I don't know if you were here when I said this. I learned that my Airbits balance was off by a factor of 100.
That's not good, Daniel.
I know. Well, it could have been good.
Yeah, it could be very good or it could be very bad.
It was very bad. It was very bad. So, like I said, I've been chatting with Paul. I want to get him on the show and talk it all out and stuff. But for the time being, I'm hesitant to recommend Airbits not even just for that reason. Even before that, I mentioned it, I think, on the show, a couple things that just weren't my favorite. And part of it is they just quit development because now they're working on the Edge wallet. So there is that. And like I said, I have high hopes for the Edge wallet. We'll see where it goes. But for the time being, Airbits, I'd have a tough time recommending that. So yeah, let me get into, I'll open up one of my fantastic links here, and you know what? Let's go with BitPay's take. Let's see why BitPay it feels so strongly about BIP 70. And this is from the 10th of January. So like I said, it's a little old, but still relevant now that we're feeling all these effects of this decision. Excuse me. Some users of BitPay service have been inconvenienced by our requirement to use payment protocol, also known as BIP 70. Because we require payment protocol payments, some users have had to switch to one of the compatible wallets. We've written before about our reasons for moving quickly to payment protocol. We want to take a moment to give you some more background. For a while now, we've wanted to reduce or completely eliminate payment errors to BitPay invoices. Payment errors occur when someone pays too much, too little, too late, or their payment doesn't include a sufficient minor fee, resulting in a delay. These are not isolated incidents. Before payment protocol, wallets or exchange accounts not suitable for spending, along with user error, created more than 1,000 of these errors for BitPay purchasers every week. So I'm sure later we'll get into all these reasons why we hate Coinbase and we hate BitPay and we hate any giant company. But for the time being, I can say that I understand where they're coming from. If you had to deal, I used to work the drive-thru. I couldn't even deal with somebody trying to freaking order a different size fry. But if you're BitPay, you're handling thousands of transactions every day, and you have to rely on these people not to type the wrong address. Good luck. Good luck. Not to accidentally add a zero to the amount. Good luck with that. So I'll start by feeling some sympathy. I have to imagine that it's not PayPal, not that big, but it's still a big company processing a ton of payments and dealing with a ton of customers. So what do you think, Tim? Would that be a pain? Would you put up with that, or would you be looking for solutions? I mean, maybe I know you're cynical, Tim. Maybe you would just put up with it and say, "Screw you, customer. It's your fault. So goodbye."
No, what I would be now. Again, this is coming from the person that can't even make a 9 o'clock deadline. But as far as I completely understand it. I get the whole why are we like people are going to get mad at us, because I don't think it's we're doing this from we want to make the customer better, right? We want to do whatever. The reason why a company wants to help their customer is in the hope that the customer is then going to use them more, is going to give them more money. It's not because of we want to make this good. Maybe something could start like that, but whenever you're actually making money, I've never heard of a company that makes like good money that actually helps people, because in the end you do run into where you could just keep more of the money, like you could just give it to them for less or something, like if you actually want to help them. As far as so yeah, I can see why they would want to do this, just to like get rid of people coming after them, because I would venture that a decent amount of the people having incidents where they're messing things up, or where they're having what was the word they were using it for? Because I was I'm sorry, I found some. I'll have to tell you something after the show. It was strange.
Okay.
Yeah, just errors in general. Like I'd venture to guess that a decent amount of the people having those errors aren't then going, "Oh, I fucked up." They're going, "Hey, where's my
come on, BitPay?
What happened?
Get it together."
Yeah, and even if they maybe I'd venture to guess a decent amount of them don't even consider that it was their fault, and then whatever. Even the people who do realize it is their fault are still going to be like, fix this, fix this. It's just like, well, no, why? Like, but they want to be able to better get rid of that issue because that brings more people in. I think I was texting you earlier about this whole thing with at least a sense of security or even the actual security. That's good for business. Something like that where people feel secure. More security is always good for business unless it's no, I can't think of a business that does not, at least for themselves, want more security and want more security for their users, at least as far as it goes to what it looks like if they're going to be on the hook for something going wrong. The more they can take out the ability for the average person to fuck up and have an error, the more they're going to have people use them and use them again. And then
I think they should just embrace it. They should, like at the baseball game, they keep a record of errors. They should just on their homepage have like a giant counter that every day just ticks up like 50 or 60 or a couple hundred. Like, oh, this douche just sent 30 grand to the wrong address. Have fun with that one.
that is the only thing. Generally a traditional company, even though it is dealing with something like crypto, which is different, a traditional company doesn't normally get by calling its customers douches. Not enough people in the world, and maybe it would have worked a while ago, but I don't think that it's like we're living in this specific time. But most people don't, like taking responsibility for what they've done. If they can have a scapegoat, they'll take it. I guess that was 2. And then 3, will do not respond well to being you fucked up. Now you're fucked. So what I would like them to do, say fuck off, you messed up. But then if we're talking about bringing more people into Bitcoin, making more people, especially like a mainstream thing, think at least that it's secure and think that they won't accidentally send $100,000 whenever they meant to send 100. Is the more, if you do want that, if you do want the price to go up, most likely as well, you kind of do need something like this. You need more people to want to buy Bitcoin. And I think we've talked about this before, but in general, I would say the majority of Bitcoin people are less concerned with this is a security thing. I mean, we've seen, or a privacy thing. I mean, we've seen that it's not anonymous, it's pseudo anonymous. So this is where the focus is going to be. And I think this is where the focus has been for a while, as far as going forward with Bitcoin.
Hey, did that come through? Was that audio playing?
Yeah, it was just super quiet.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, Dan was trying to do ads over me. But it's fine. I will not take offense at that. Again, anything that they can do for their customer, though, that is going to make the average person feel more secure, even if it doesn't do anything, which I would guess that this will actually help. As long as you can make them feel better, as long as you can make them do whatever, regardless of what they think about the rest of Bitcoin, they're a business for this, so they want more people to use it. They don't want people to go on Twitter and go, because even if most people look at that tweet about, hey, BitPay, they stole my money because I sent the wrong amount, and most, like, we are going to go, no, this was your fault. But there's going to be some people that go, that's terrible. What's going on in the world? This is why Bitcoin's wrong. This is why Bitcoin can't really work. This is why Bitcoin is not the same, is not as useful, or not as just secure or viable as a currency as the US dollar or something like that. That's the whole reason why we have this kind of an economic system, is because people didn't like having multiple. I mean, it's not the same thing, I'm sorry, but like we used to have, like, different banks had different banknotes, and then we kind of got tired of having to change those around and being worried that one bank would fail, and then we all got the same dollar. And then after that, then we were like, well, we need to back this with something because we're tired of having highs and lows in the economy. And then it kind of just, that's what at least in modern society, we like, and I think I've just said this like 5 times, but we like security, and we like not thinking that there's even a possibility that we could make a mistake ourselves.
Tim has his own show now, so he thinks he can just run everything and tell us the God's honest truth about BitPay. But no, I feel you. It's a tough thing to, it's a tough thing to run a company that big and try to take care of customers. That is what they're trying to do, even though it's always the customer's fault. That's like a classic thing in anywhere you serve customers, even in the drive-through. It's the customer's always right, even though the customer's always wrong.
The whole point of that phrase is that, yeah, we know they're fucking wrong. But as far as a business goes, you treat them like they're right. Like that phrase wouldn't exist. Like it wouldn't need to exist if most customers were right. It's well, just it's easier and it's more. It'll make us more money in the long run to just say, hey, they're right, because if you don't agree with somebody, they're not going to pay you. Like if you argue with them, they're less likely to use you. They're less likely to give you their money. And all it's really doing is just trying to extract money out of people. And especially in this kind of business where it's not super like corporatized yet. Like these are nothing. Like BitPay, Coinbase, they're nothing compared to like banks and like the traditional economic system. Like we don't like them already, but they're still so much more, I would say streamlined, because there aren't as many, I don't think, like tie or constraints on there being competition between them. So yeah, they kind of do have to be just beholden to whatever the majority of their customers want or they think they want.
Right. Well, hey guys.
Sorry.
No, what? Go for it.
Do you have any idea? Have they gotten a lot of people just like, hey, do this, or hey, because I thought you said there were a bunch of comments, and then we have another article about there being an issue with the security of it. But have there been a lot of kind of just
people that want BIP70?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything, but I haven't really been looking either, so I don't know. Hey, I before we get too close to the end here, I should roll this commercial, hopefully the right way this time. But we'll be right back in a moment and chat more about BIP70 and why some people hate it. So in a moment. Peace.
Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by Chronologic.network. Chronologic is an Ethereum-based project that aims to solve time-related problems on the blockchain. Through Chronologic's 3 core products, the Ethereum alarm clock, debt smart contracts, and the day token minting mechanism, they solve the problems of payment scheduling, crypto loan time constraints, and unstable token launches. Find out more at Chronologic.network.
Alrighty. Thanks for bearing with us. Yeah, the concerns with BIP70. I will pull up some of those. That, I guess, mainly, let's go with Bitcoin Magazine. Like I said, there were some comments with Paul Pway in here. And there's a giant heading called Security Concerns. So I'll just read from there. One of the most outspoken opponents of this policy shift has been Samurai Wallet, like I mentioned. And there's some quotes from that blog post here. And here's one of them, quote, "We have to be very clear here," end quote. Samurai stated bluntly in its recent blog post, quote, "Samurai Wallet will not support BIP70 in our products. Therefore, our wallet users will not be able to send Bitcoin to QR codes generated by BitPay invoices, as they do not provide a valid Bitcoin address," end quote. According to Samurai, BIP70, quote, "remains largely unadopted by the majority of wallet and service providers," end quote, due to the many security and privacy concerns, including the required support of legacy public key infrastructure features with known vulnerabilities such as OpenSSL and Heartbleed. Indeed, the recent revelations about Meltdown and Spectre have created additional security concerns among some critics. Quote, Meltdown and Spectre greatly increase the risk of keys being stolen from memory, end quote. James Hilliard, developer and Myrick engineer, told Bitcoin Magazine, quote, since they are side channel attacks that allow processes to spy on the memory other processes, wallet private keys generally have to go into memory at some point in order to sign the transaction, end quote. I misread a tiny bit of that, but that's the concern, is stuff like that. Meltdown, Spectre, OpenSSL, Heartbleed have vulnerabilities that some people don't like. Although I've also seen people say that, well, even if you just copy the address from a website, you're still trusting SSL. That's kind of what the S stands for in HTTPS. It's SSL. And so if you're copying the address from the website, you face the same issue. I've seen some people say that. I've also seen other people say, well, yeah, but the browser's implementation of SSL is way more trustworthy than some random Android app, which may do SSL completely wrong. At least the browser, there's like 3 browsers that people ever use, and you can generally trust their SSL. But if there's, 10, 20, 30 different Bitcoin wallets on 5 or 10 different platforms where you may or may not be able to trust the SSL. That's the other argument I've heard. But here's some from Paul Pway. Quote, we do share some concerns, but do not feel as strongly as Samurai Wallet, end quote, said Pway. Quote, in the case of the acquisition of a payment QR code from a website, one is already trusting SSL public key infrastructure to know that a public address is from the owner. Adding BIP70 to that makes it no worse. However, if one is doing a peer-to-peer transaction between 2 wallets that are physically next to each other, there's no need to rely on an HTTPS server query to obtain a public address. And that process absolutely introduces more risk than necessary. So that's a good comment there, is anytime you do anything on the internet, Bitcoin or otherwise, that S is a pretty important S. Like, that is what it all comes down to, is just hoping to God that that S is really secure. Whereas if you were literally next to someone and you could see their phone and they could see your phone and you could see their address and you could scan their address and you could see that the address that was scanned on your phone was the same as the address that was shown on their phone, there is no S to trust there. It's just wallets. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Tim? Should we be? Some people would say, like, okay, you're really gonna freak out about the S. Like, all of the internet is built on that S. It's fine. I don't know. Should we be freaking out about that?
I mean, probably. I don't know. Like recently, I've been thinking about what exactly, or how exactly, or if it's even like, no, I don't know if it's why or how, but how much we trust the kind of interactions we have online, how much it is a part of our lives, how much a part of putting trust and stuff like this is. And it's like, it is working. I think it looks like it's working. Like, it has to be working on some level, but at some point, does that fall apart? At some point, do we lose that? I don't know if it is if it's sustainable too, maybe.
It's hard to know. I mean, like I said, I'm a web developer myself, and so I deal with this kind of stuff. I deal with HTTPS and SSL certificates, and I read about different ways that people can hack people on the web, how you can just almost hack someone just by getting them to click a link. or not almost, you can if things aren't done right. So it's a tough conundrum, because on the one hand, as a web developer, I know how easy it is to just wreak havoc with in some of the ways that people tend to hack people. On the other hand, it can happen, but like, not everyone is a target. Not everyone is an easy target. It's like, and for that, I could point to all these things that they mentioned: Heartbleed, Meltdown, Spectre. Yeah, those are definitely vulnerabilities. And yeah, you could definitely just straight up lose your private keys through those exploits. Yes, they're serious for that reason. But on the other hand, like, how many people do you know that woke up one day and they're like, ah, crap, Spectre got my private keys? Like,
Well, I don't have any friends, so that's kind of goes out the window. But
yeah.
I get like that's maybe even part of what I'm talking about with the internet, because we have just so much information from so many different people, that it's like you can make obviously it is a problem, obviously is an issue, but is it as much of an issue as we think it is? Because I mean, I don't remember. I don't think I've ever seen a tweet about it, but there has to be somebody out there. But we have literally just we have the ability at least to just see millions of people's uh just lives, or their perceived
Twitter,
of what's
yeah.
happening. And it kind of throws everything out of whack, because you can't make a decision. You can't make a decision on how you're going to make your life, or how you're going to live your life, just based on someone just had shitty luck. And what are you going to do? There's some things you just can't change. Some, I guess, maybe we can, but in my view, because of being kind of just pessimistic a little bit, not a little bit, a lot, it's like, what do you, okay, yeah, maybe it's an issue for maybe even a couple people, maybe it's an issue for a lot of people, but we can't let that stop us from trying to, that's the only thing throughout history that makes things better, that lets people develop things, is people losing their money at the best. But a lot of the stuff we have today, a lot of the comforts we have, are just because people died. Just because people died a bunch of times using stuff that wasn't as good, and then we learned, okay, well, 100,000 people died because these the airbags weren't calibrated this well right now, and then it probably was in the millions, and then millions died the next year because we overcalibrated and they were just killing people. But literally any of this stuff is just happens because the vast amount of people in the world basically are just kind of cannon fodder to not to be they're not just being thrown in and killed at something. But as far as making progress or developing things, most people are just there to just mess up and use it and then mess up again. And I think that's just how things have always been. Things like this are trying to make it better, but it's kind of like we're never going to get rid of risk.
Yeah.
No matter what we do,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
always going to be something in the new stuff that we make. It's going to make new risk. But we're never going to get rid of risk. There's nothing that we can. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, some people are saying that payment protocol introduces risk because of these SSL vulnerabilities. Possibly some other stuff. People mention ways that they might use it to do AML, KYC type of stuff. My stance, if you're really going to pry, I would say, no, I have no interest in payment protocol. Not so much because I know all about it and I know all the risks and all of that stuff. I just don't need it. So why would I, get involved and have to use a certain wallet? I just don't need it. Yeah, people make mistakes, but I know how Bitcoin works. I know how to copy an address. I know how to copy an amount. I'll probably be eating those words one of these days, But as far for that's how I feel right now. Is I've been using Bitcoin for years, and all you got to do is be careful. Yes, bad stuff can happen, mistakes, whatever. I know I'm going to be eating those words, but that's how I feel right now.
Well,
If
yeah,
you're
I
really
mean,
going
but
to
no,
cry.
yeah, but no matter what you say, if it happens to you, it happens to you. Like you having a better and being sympathetic to it doesn't change the fact. Sorry, doesn't change the fact that that's just how things work. We don't live in a world where we can get rid of that. We don't live in a
Yep.
world where we can just, I mean, maybe if everybody was just a robot and we could just program people and we could program everything, but even like I get that the more stuff we try to program in our lives and you try to automate it, I think is because then you do have more consistency, besides just not having to pay somebody to do something like that. You just have better consistency because a program or a robot or anything like that is going to be more, they're not going to have the mistake as much. Like even
Right.
they're going to have the mistake, but it won't be as bad. All of it's just like a matter of degrees to me.
Yeah, so we're coming up on the last few minutes, and that means it's time for advice of the week. And I'm going to cheat here and take the easy one, which is what Tim said and what I completely agree with, and that is all things involve risk. So there is that. That's not quite advice, but it's a thought of the week, which is also allowed during this segment. There's risk in everything. And no, I'm not a huge fan of payment protocol. I don't feel like being forced to use a certain wallet. I don't feel like ignoring a lot of these concerns that people have, but everything involves risk. So whether you use payment protocol or not, you could screw up. So that's my advice. I took the easy route. Anything good for us, Tim?
I'll add on to that and just I don't like there's like the motivational posts or memes where it's like anything worth having involves risk. It's like, no, just like, literally anything is something of a risk. What I my advice of the week is, I don't know, probably again, just get your shit together. I'm telling myself this more than anybody. I guess to deal with having risk, to deal with any kind of the just uncertainty, is find something that makes you I just makes you happy, I guess, regardless of what that is. I don't necessarily want to say that because sometimes that's bad, but again, like, who am I to say that your life is better spent doing one thing over the other? But as far as just, it's everything's a risk. You get one time to, even if you believe in reincarnation, even if you believe in anything, you get one time to do this on the world. Don't don't get stuck doing something where you're risking, where you're like, you're having risk, but it's not even for something that you necessarily want. So to try to, again, be more conscious in your life, I guess. And again, like, read up on stuff, look into what you're using. Like I was saying before, I don't even know if I've been using BitPay. I very well may could have been. And just don't take everything you see on Twitter as being God. Maybe, I don't know.
Got it. That's Tim.
Yeah, create more than you consume. I don't know how you can do that, but try.
That's Tim's wisdom of the week. Guys, I'm going to give one more quick shout out to our awesome sponsor, chronologic.network. They are just looking for all these ways to innovate with time on Ethereum. So they have debt smart contracts. They have created the Ethereum alarm clock. And they have ways to improve token launches because of the way they can manage time on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain. So check it out at chronologic.network. It's technology that is used to create debt and innovative time-based smart contracts. So thanks again to them for making all of this possible. They're a cool sponsor, and we're grateful. Chronologic.network. I am ready to wrap it up here. I'll toss out another quick reminder to check out you, me, and BTC.com while you're waiting for us to come back next week. Obviously, don't forget Tim's 2 Cents on Monday and the Coin Pod with Zach Vol on Tuesday. I will have to spend the next week trying to figure out what's wrong with Hangouts or what's wrong with my microphone or whatever. I don't know why it's not working, but I'll see what I can figure out. Also, we got the Silk Toad back. How's it going, Silk Toad?
Yay.
So, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a blast. Thanks for bearing with the audio. Thank you so much again to Jeff Klee from CheapAir.com. Had a great chat with him. If you're just joining us, make sure you go back and check it out. If you want to find this episode in particular anytime in the future, no matter when you're listening, you can head to ymb.tc/E239. That was a lot of letters and numbers. You could also do the long link, which is you, me, and btc.com/E239. That is how we do all of our episodes based on number /E239. Peace out, guys. It's been a blast. We'll see you next Thursday, and obviously check out our other shows as well. We love you.
Bye, guys. I'll try to get more hype for my episodes.